You cannot imagine Okigwe that 60% of the villages are deserted. Suddenly is scoring over 50,000, higher than any LGA in any part of Imo State, without any accreditation. Even in that or not, 70% of the words, no material got to those locations, and results were turning without accreditation. Nobody have been arrested, nobody have been queried. The returning officers and the electoral officers are celebrating their loot. And you call this thing a country? This cannot be a country, and this cannot be a democracy. And this thing keeps coming from one particular axis. Talks backed by security agencies, as you saw on TV, even inside the collection center, we are many shooting and destroying people and private properties in a bid to intimidate the people, to allow them announce already written figures without accreditation or credible election. That it is shameful that the police did not do anything to investigate the person of one Chinasa, who is the chief talks to the governor, who has been severally complained against for acts of violence, assault. Even he carried it into the election. You saw the video of a civil defense officer complaining that the same Chinasa led the team of election riggers who disarmed the commission officer. Even security agencies, feel for your officers in the field. Your officers was disarmed and their guns taken away, and people left it just because somebody wants to remain as governor. We are debasing institutions. We are creating insecurity by the same people who are supposed to be fighting insecurity, by undermining our armed forces. They snatched the officer's magazine for his rifle, and another video showing an attack on the residence of the PDP deputy governorship candidate, Honorable James Onyeri, where the same Chinasa is mentioned as the person that led the attack. That should worry the Inspector General of Police to swing into action. That is an act of political treason for a person to get himself declared as the governor of a state, and the security agency should swing into action and arrest those such people, because what happened on Saturday was not an election but was a heinous political crime. The Beaver's accreditation record is evidence of the electoral haze that was conducted on Saturday. That Uzodimma has more questions to answer to Imo people about the true causes of insecurity in Imo State and those behind them, because he's seen from the result allocated to him during the election that he scored the highest votes in LUGS with the worst activities of the unknown government where election did not hold. That the world will be watching the judiciary to do justice to Imo and resolve this second consecutive stealing of the mandate of the office of the governor of Imo State, following the worst case of electoral haze where a man arrived from fourth position to be declared a winner in an election. It is a debt the Nigerian judiciary owes Imo, and a debt they should pay without further delay, as Imo State is daily being desecrated and the people feeling violated and abused. That after the deduction of the overvoting, an area's election never held or accreditation was never done, the PDP candidate, Senator Samuel Anyanwu, scored the highest number of valid votes, and hence INEC ought to have declared Anyanwu winner of the election. This is very important, because if you look at the accreditation, where you have one accredited, you have 900 votes. Where you have 10 accredited, you have 600 votes. If you remove all these void votes, what is left of the valid votes in the election have the PDP as leading candidate. And INEC under the law have a provision to review this result. Despite the announcement, you can review the result to be sure that is in tandem with the total number of accredited votes. So when you check it, you see that the 540 votes or whatever they're talking about is the height of madness. Anybody that can be proud to claim that he scored 540 votes in this kind of madness, you have to check his head, because you can see accreditation 1 vote scored 600, and this is supposed to be a crime scene that security agency is supposed to be investigating on how people arrive at these figures that came down from the sky. It's on this note that we're also calling on the candidate of both the PDP and the Labour Party to immediately prepare their documents and approach the election petition tribunal to ensure that this injustice and this criminality that was carried out in Imo in the name of election is reversed. That will insist, based on incredible intelligence, that the results from Okigwe, Oru East, the governor's hometown, Oru West, Onimo, Osu, Uguta, Ohaji, Wangele, Onu, Ida Tosat, Ida Tonot, Obowo are the biggest electoral jokes that will ever come out of Africa. Over 90% of the result of votes did not happen as there was no accreditation. Those with less than 5% accreditation ended up having 80% voter turnout. That we call on INEC to invoke the provision on review of false declaration as provided in the Electoral Act and recalculate and declare the PDP winner and save the court and Imo people the agony of long, tiring litigation. that we call on the US, the UK, France, Canada, as well as other lovers of democracy to place on visa ban the key actors in the Imo electoral robbery, as well as members of their immediate family that have buried any hope of credible election. That this act of electoral brigandage going on without consequences is daily pushing out our country close to the brink and making the spirit of patriotism to fade among citizens. This is not good for our dear country at all. There must be consequences for those who outrightly wrote fake figures in Imo State in 90% of the locations. Accreditation were 0, but over 500, 1,000 votes were recorded. Accreditation were 10 or 20, and votes scores were 500. This is outright madness and provocative, which goes to the very foundation of survival of our nation's democracy. If we want this democracy to survive in Nigeria going forward, the Imo madness has to be reviewed and the right thing done. You go to technical school, Okonoloho, what they call it, in Obowo, Otoko, pulling in is 012. Vote accredited is 83, and the vote scored is 459. Look at all this madness, and people are congratulating people, sort of bowing their heads in shame, because Nigeria has become a crime scene. You now go to Otoko 007 in Obowo. Vote accredited is 73, and the vote scored by Uzodimma APC is 599. Look at all this. Look, what kind of country is this? What kind of country is this? Now look at Obowo again, 0015. Vote accredited is 10, and the vote scored 927. Accredited 10, vote scored 927. And people saw all these criminalities, and somebody was declared the winner of this whole madness. Now you go to Ofemiri Village Square, Ndi Moko Idatonot. Vote accredited is 3, and the vote scored by APC is 395. 3 accredited voters, 395 score. You also go to Oru East, Omuma, Powerline Primary School 2, 00, pulling in 025. Vote accredited is 5, and the score is 41. 41. You now go to Central School, Omuma, 006. Accreditation is 47. The vote scored is 642. This is another repeat of the 388 polling unit with which the Supreme Court was misled into declaring somebody governor. Now another one has happened. This one worse than the one that happened in the Supreme Court one. Now you go to Umezala Hall, Onumudi, Nkwere. Vote accredited is 14, and the score is 90. Look at it. Look at it. You go to Ezala Square, Nana Nkwere 2. Vote polling is 001. Vote accredited is 48, and the score is 120. Just look at it. Look at how they have debased the electoral process because you want to keep some people in office that they are unfit for. Now you go to Amogo Hall, Eziamobiri in Nkwere. Vote accredited is 39. The score is 124. Now you go to Umwekwebiri Hall, Eziamobiri, also in Nkwere. Vote accredited is 27. The score here is 121. Is this why you call victory? People call criminality victory. If you are man enough and strong enough, you contest the election and let the people decide. That is the hallmark of democracy. This is what I have been shouting, that these people will bury this democracy, and it has been buried. Because if you say you are going to election, you are wasting your time. You must find something superior that is outside the law for you to win. And people did this. Security agency aided it. Some people in INEC aided it. And people are receiving Holy Communion on top of it. You go to 00, either or not. You go to 0015. Sorry, not 0015. You go to Ekezala Hall. Ekezala Hall, either or not. You have Omopi Mukebu. You have accreditation. You have accreditation as hold on, 87, and the vote scored there, the total vote scored there is 93. Also, let me inform you that there are moves currently on with some people in the IT department of INEC to illegally upload accreditation figures into the Beavers machine and the back-end server to tally with this fraud that was committed on Saturday. This political treason. More than 90% of the vote allocated to Uzodimma were not votes that passed through the accreditation process, as the turnout in the election was very low, and this could be because of the insecurity in the state. Having completed our internal post-election process, we now brief you as follows. The members of the opposition coalition CPP lawmakers in the House of Representatives, over 30 of us met and want to brief you on the following. That the Imo State governorship election held on Saturday, 11 November 2023, as well as that of Kogi and parts of Bayelsa, was marred by wanton rigging, allocation of votes in private homes, declaration of false results, non-use of beavers machine for accreditation, intimidation, harassment, snatching of ballot boxes, filling in result sheet even before election started, and every other electoral fraud imagined. That the outcome of the election is illegitimate and the person declared the winner of the election, Hope Uzodimma, was not duly elected by Imo voters, as majority of the votes ascribed to him were invalid, void, and unlawful votes. Hence, we declare him a self-imposed governor. That we have already exposed evidence of massive overvoting from result of Beavers machine accreditation, which showed very low turnout and results showing high turnout. I want you people to also take a look at this. If you go to Uzodimma's village, Omoma Oru East, you can see from polling unit 035, the health center, accredited voters is 4, but the vote Uzodimma scored is 351. If you also go to his village, Omoma Oru East, Ekwenja Okwozu, the vote accredited is 13 and the vote he scored is 400. You can imagine the level of fraud and criminality that happened in Imo State in the name of election. You now go to Okigwe, Amori, Ahenyi, no accreditation at all, and the vote scored by APC is 509. This is electoral treason. You go to Ndiadima Hall in the Zog 1 in Ida Tonot, accredited vote is 1, and the vote scored by APC is 275. Look at this madness. And this is what people are celebrating, going to churches to do Thanksgiving and receive Holy Communion, and their mouths have not burnt. You go to Iheme Primary School, Aniche, Ida Tonot, polling unit 001, there is no Beavers accreditation, but suddenly Uzodimma scored 750 votes. You go to Ndi Moko, Okpenyi Village Hall, 007. Accreditation is 1. The vote scored by Uzodimma is 95. 95. You go to Ndi Okwonu Hall, Umuokwara, Umezaga in Idato North. The vote accredited is 10, and the vote scored by the APC is 45. 45. And this is what was declared. And somebody is carrying it as a legitimate mandate. The mandate is illegitimate. And also, there's criminal offense that have been committed. The whole process of that election is a crime scene.